Right now on Morning News Now, celebration and uncertainty in the Middle East. Breaking overnight, Israel delaying a cabinet vote to approve a ceasefire deal with Hamas just hours after both sides announced an agreement. Now, dozens of families of hostages anxiously awaiting developments as they hold out hope that their loved ones will be brought back home alive.
Until he is home, until any of the hostages are home, really, we cannot be sure. And the job will only be done when all 98 of the hostages are home.
We have team coverage on what Israel is calling a last-minute crisis that could compromise the deal. Also, President Biden making his final address from the Oval Office. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, President-elect Trump's cabinet picks facing tough questions from senators. We'll bring you the latest from Washington. Plus, crews gaining ground more than 1 week into the firefight in Southern California. We'll take you to Los Angeles, where the relief and recovery efforts are underway. And red dye getting the red light, a common ingredient in some of America's most popular foods, now banned. We'll tell you about the move by the FDA and how it could change what you see at the grocery store.
Chat with a doctor who will explain why it's happening and why it's taken so long. It's something some have called for decades. Good to have you with us on this Thursday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. And we're going to begin our show in the Middle East, where there's new uncertainty this morning over a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. So yesterday, President Biden and Qatar's prime minister announced an agreement had been reached between both sides that would pause the war in Gaza and see both Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners released. It would take effect this Sunday.
Israel's cabinet was due to meet this morning to vote on the deal, but Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delayed the meeting, accusing Hamas of reneging on parts of the deal. Netanyahu's office did not elaborate further. A Hamas official responded by saying the group was committed to the agreement and accused Netanyahu of trying to sabotage the deal. This all comes as Israel continues its bombing campaign in Gaza. Gaza's civil defense says dozens of Palestinians have been killed by Israeli strikes since the deal was revealed. In announcing that deal yesterday, President Biden said it was the only way to end the suffering.
There was no other way for this war to end than with a hostage deal. And I'm deeply satisfied this day has finally come, for the sake of the people of Israel and the families waiting in agony, and for the sake of the innocent people in Gaza who suffered unimaginable devastation because of the war. The Palestinian people have gone through hell. Too many innocent people have died. Too many communities have been destroyed.
In a moment, we will speak with the father of one of the hostages, but we start things off with NBC News correspondent Danielle Hamamdjian in Tel Aviv. Danielle, good morning. Thank you for being with us. So it looked like we finally had this breakthrough, right, yesterday on the ceasefire deal, but then the comments coming out of the Israeli Prime Minister's office this morning appear to have set those hopes back. What is going on here? Is this deal still alive?
I think, well, we don't know, and unless you are a fly on the wall in the room, it is just speculation. But I think the reaction you will get from people, and this is Hostage Square where I am, not a lot of people right now, but I did bump into a couple who came just to show support. Their reaction was disappointment, but not surprise. It was somewhat similar last night. There weren't a lot of people here, definitely not a celebratory mood. There is a lot of anxiety, and of course your next guest can speak to that. But for the families of the hostages, there is a lot of anxiety, not knowing how the next few days are going to play out, who is on the list, who will be released on the first day, on the seventh day, and every week after that until the first 6 weeks are complete. Now, you mentioned that Israel is blaming Hamas for reneging. Hamas is saying it's still committed. This has been sort of the soundtrack of every headline since May, since this proposal was first put on the table. Both sides have accused each other of being the main obstacle. Now, you know, if you pay attention to the Israeli media, what has come out in the past 48 hours is obviously there is political opposition to this deal, namely from the far-right national security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, who has admitted having blocked previous hostage deals. I put that question to many of the protesters I saw last night in front of the Defense Ministry, and their reaction is one of disgust, really. They say that this could have been agreed to back in May. How many lives have been lost since, both in Gaza, IDF soldiers, the hostages? And so there's a lot of anger directed at the Netanyahu government. But the couple I spoke to this morning today is, frankly, no sympathy for the Palestinian civilians. They firmly are angry at Hamas and put the blame on Hamas in these negotiations.
Danielle, can you reveal some of the details of the deal? Just walk us through the phases of this agreement and how it would work, assuming it does move forward.
Yeah, it is really complex. It is not really similar to what we saw back in November. A whole year has gone by. So what we are expecting to see in the first stage, which will last 42 days, is the release of 33 hostages, women, children, civilians over the age of 50, the ill and the injured. And in exchange, we will see the release of Palestinian prisoners. Now, worth noting that many Palestinians have been arrested without being charged or tried, and they have been detained this entire time. And so for every civilian, for every hostage released, 30 Palestinian prisoners will be released for every female soldier. That number goes up to 50. During this time, we will see the gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces from the more densely populated areas in Gaza, namely the Netzarim corridor, which cuts the Gaza Strip in half, and it will allow for the return of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians back to northern Gaza.
Danielle Hamamdjian, we so appreciate your reporting on this. Obviously something people there and around the world are really paying attention to this morning. Thank you.
Now, as of last month, 94 hostages are believed to be held in Gaza. 7 Americans were taken hostage by Hamas. Right now, it's presumed 3 of the Americans are still alive. Joining us now, Jonathan Deckelhen and his son. Sagi is one of the hostages we believe still being held in Gaza. Jonathan, we appreciate your time this morning. We realize you have been through so many ups and downs over the last 15 months. Now, again, over the last 24 hours, we have this deal, but now Netanyahu's office saying Hamas is reneging on parts of the agreement. Just how are you dealing with all of these latest developments right now?
Well, as has been over the course of the last 15 months, just doing the work that needs to get done, and what that would include right now, given the developments over the last few hours, and things that are possibly going to happen in the next hours, days, and weeks, is to implore the Biden and Trump administrations until Monday, and then the Trump administration after inauguration, to continue applying at least as much pressure on all of the sides to complete this agreement. At least as much pressure as they applied to bring them to agree, at least initially, as of last night. We have a situation here where both sides, Hamas especially, but also the Israeli government, not the Israeli people, the Israeli government have always been hesitant about completing negotiations that would bring the hostages home, the 98 hostages that are still there, 7 Americans, and put in place a ceasefire. So we need President-elect Trump's strength and that of his team to continue applying pressure on Israel when necessary, on the intermediaries Qatar and Egypt, and most especially on Hamas to make this happen.
Jonathan, you mentioned soon-to-be President Trump. Have you heard directly from the incoming Trump administration, anyone on that team, or the Biden administration since this deal was announced?
No, we have not.
Jonathan, what can you tell us about what you know about your son's location or condition? I understand it's been more than a year since you've had anything resembling confirmation about him, right?
That's correct. The last confirmation of life that we had was over a year ago when the initial hostage agreement was created. About 100 hostages, Israeli hostages, came out of Gaza, women and children. And of those 100, about 40 of them were from our kibbutz, our small farming community on the border with Gaza. And they were able to tell us, some of them were able to tell us that they had seen Sagi alive and wounded in the tunnels under Gaza just before they were released. And now that was a comfort at the time, but since that time, they saw many of the men of Nir Oz at that time, and some of them have since been murdered by Hamas in captivity. So what we knew over a year ago, it's impossible to say to what degree that is going to be accurate today.
Absolutely. Bearing that in mind, just the unknowing for a year. Also, we know details, like our reporter Ralph Sanchez recently spoke with Segi's wife as her family was celebrating the first birthday of the daughter he has not met yet. This might be a difficult question to answer, but I just wonder, what your family has gone through is unimaginable. How have you endured these last 15 months?
Well, I think all of us, have dealt with it in our own particular ways. Avital, of course, has been an advocate for Segi, but also the completely dedicated mom of 3 little girls. Thankfully, the 1-year-old doesn't ask a lot of questions, but the 3- and 7-year-olds certainly do. And we have no answers for all of those questions, completely legitimate, and fears that they have about their dad. As for me, I've since October 8th, I've had one image in my mind, and that drives me every day, which is, someday, I hope very, very soon, Sagi is going to walk in, I hope on his own 2 feet, into a room or into a hallway somewhere. His 3 little girls are going to run and leap into his arms, and he'll be able to embrace Avital again. And that's what gets me up in the morning, and it's going to bring me to Washington as well in the coming days.
Jonathan, we are hoping and praying that that image in your mind comes true in the coming days. Thank you so much for your time with us. Please keep us updated.
Thank you for having me.
Let's continue this conversation with Ambassador Alon Pinkas. He's the former Israeli Consul General in New York and a columnist as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning. We appreciate you being here. I first just want to get your reaction to this move by Netanyahu to delay this morning's cabinet vote on the ceasefire deal. Is this a case of as we've been mentioning this morning, Hamas reneging on parts of the agreement, as Netanyahu is alleging? Do you think there's more at play here?
Well, good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Joe. Look, I doubt they are reneging on substantive points. The Prime Minister of Qatar stood up and spoke. The President of the United States stood up and spoke. The Israeli negotiating team approved of the agreement. And then the president-elect, Donald Trump, issued a statement through his social media platform. So I doubt they're reneging. What you're seeing now is what Mr. Netanyahu usually does, and that is tell different people different things, provide different interpretations to the same text. It's his trademark duplicity, I'm sorry to say. He has political problems getting this through the cabinet, although I think he's going to get it through the cabinet if he so desires. But now he wants to play tough. Now he wants to say that until the very last moment, and even after the very last moment, he still stood strong and resolute and negotiated. I think that is nonsense. I think the agreement has been signed, and either he adhere to it or renege on it altogether, as, by the way, as he did in May, and you mentioned that before.
Yeah, I want to ask you more about that. I mean, you wrote a column for Haaretz where you question why Netanyahu's agreeing to this deal now as opposed to 8 months ago, especially given President Biden said, and many would agree, this agreement largely mirrored the one he proposed then. Why do you think that is? How much of a factor do you think President-elect Trump is?
A huge factor, a game changer. Mr. Netanyahu deceived and manipulated the Biden administration for the better part of the last 15 months. This proposal was put on the table as early as March. He ignored it. In May, President Biden presented it publicly. It then became even a UN Security Council resolution based on a text that President Biden said at the time was provided to him by no other than Mr. Netanyahu, who then reneged on it. But his political calculus was as follows. First, he said, I need to prolong the war. And, he floated all these slogans and cliches about total victory and eradicating Hamas, obliterating Hamas, and what have you. He wanted to distance himself politically from the debacle and the calamity of October 7th, 2023. Then, while prolonging it, we entered the summer of 2024. President Biden says he's not going to seek re-election. And now Mr. Netanyahu is saying, so I'll prolong it until November, see what happens. Enter the November election. Mr. Trump wins the election. Now Mr. Netanyahu has a deadline, 20th of January, Inauguration Day. Not for any other reason. It is that Mr. Trump 3 times said, I want this wrapped up. I want this behind me. I don't want to deal with it on the 20th. And so there you have it.
Ambassador Alon Pinkas, we appreciate your perspective this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, hours after the ceasefire was announced, President Biden delivered his farewell address to the nation with a focus on the future of the country. Speaking last night from the Oval Office, the president called on Americans to stand up for democracy. Mr. Biden also warned of an oligarchy that is, quote, taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence. We get more on the president's speech from NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander.
Joe and Savannah, for President Biden, this was a valedictory speech. One of the youngest Americans elected senator when he first came to Washington. Now, more than a half-century later, he will leave Monday as the oldest president ever to serve. From behind the Resolute desk one last time last night, touting his legacy and issuing a series of stark warnings about the future.
In his farewell address after 5 decades in politics, President Biden looking to define his legacy following 4 tumultuous years.
Every day I've kept my commitment to be president for all Americans through one of the toughest periods in our nation's history.
The president vigorously defending his record, leading the nation out of a global pandemic, restoring jobs after an economic crisis, and heavily investing in the nation's infrastructure and clean energy initiatives. With President-elect Trump set to retake the White House, President Biden highlighted the peaceful transfer of power.
I wish the incoming administration success because I want America to succeed.
Still, he delivered a dire warning about what he called a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of very few, very rich people.
An oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead.
Another danger, he warned, the growth of AI and big tech.
Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation. The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit.
With First Lady Jill Biden, his son Hunter, and Vice President Harris in the room, this word of thanks.
She and Doug have become like family, and to me, family's everything.
After a lifetime in public service, the president calling on Americans to defend our democracy.
A nation where the strength of our institutions and the character of our people matter and must endure. Now it's your turn to stand guard.
While Americans are still largely dissatisfied with his presidency, President Biden says it'll take time for the full impact of all he accomplished to be felt, but he insisted the seeds are planted, in his words. His address, part of a series of goodbyes, a commander-in-chief farewell ceremony today. Also, we'll hear from Vice President Harris today at a brief ceremony of her own. Joe and Savannah.
All right, Peter, thank you.
Well, this morning, firefighters in Southern California are finally getting some relief from the weather. With those red flag warnings, that has to do with those winds, they are expiring. But for thousands in the Los Angeles area, the difficult process of starting over is just beginning, and the danger is far from over. For more, we are joined by NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson. He is in the devastated community of Altadena. That's the fire that was burning to the east of Los Angeles. Steve, good morning. Fortunately, those feared 70-mile-per-hour winds did not end up materializing yesterday, and things are expected to be calmer today. What is the latest from firefighters? What were they able to get done with a little bit of a reprieve from what we were anticipating?
Yeah, finally some good news overnight, right, Savannah? We're finally out of the red flag winds, the particularly dangerous situation that we've been in over the last few days, and then those winds over the last really better part of a week have ended. We never really saw, as you mentioned, the 30 to 50-mile-an-hour winds at lower elevations. We got some bigger wind gusts in the mountains, and it did cause some spot fires, some brush fires, but firefighters jumping on top of those almost as quickly as they sprung up. What does that mean, you ask? It means more of a perimeter on the big fire fires that we've been monitoring. The Palisades fire was at 19% yesterday, now 21% containment today. This fire, the Eaton fire, 35% containment yesterday, 45% containment today. That's during the wind event. It'll be interesting to see what firefighters can get done now that that event has ended. But we do expect more red flag winds as early as Monday of next week, maybe even Tuesday. Firefighters are used to operating sort of in windows to try to knock out as much as they possibly can. They're going to try to do that before, obviously, early next week. Savannah?
So is there any word on when people could be able to return to the community, whether that be their home or to remains of what used to be their home? We know that it's not necessarily safe, and that's the reason for the delay here. But people, of course, just want to know what's left.
Yeah, major source of frustration, as you can imagine, Savannah. A lot of people have been turned away, have been trying to sit in lines to get back into these massive, massive evacuation zones. The problem is, obviously, there's still an active firefight right now. There's still smoldering and hot spots. You may have seen the structure behind me. We've seen smoldering just here, but besides that, power lines, hazardous materials, the health department, the EPA going to want to do a sweep in areas like this to make sure people aren't breathing in the wrong things. So the estimate right now on the hardest hit areas, it's going to be at least weeks before people can even see the ruins of their homes. Obviously, terrible news for people that just want to find out what's going on, but unfortunately, it's the reality on the ground.
Steve, another tough reality. Several schools were destroyed. Now across LA Unified, schools have been back in session, but some districts now are having to scramble to absorb 7,000 displaced students. The school that they once went to no longer stands. How's that going?
It's tough, as you can imagine. I mean, first of all, a lot of these kids were involved in COVID-era policies when they had to, do remote learning. So it's just a difficult situation. It brings back past trauma for the kids themselves. Thankfully, the governor has instituted emergency powers, which relaxes some sort of stipulations, particularly on the school districts. They don't have to worry necessarily about meeting enrollment numbers. It makes it easier so kids can transfer schools even out of district, which is not something that a lot of kids can usually do. There's also more opportunities for in-person learning, for remote learning. It's just a difficult situation that a lot of people sort of have to deal with. The schools themselves are beefing up resources thanks to federal and state aid, but it's just, obviously, there is no perfect solution to that. It's something that is just managed as we go. Savannah?
Steve, quickly, if you could just tell us, because I think this is an important one. We're starting to see more calls for accountability. New lawsuits filed regarding both Eaton and Palisades fires. We know a look for the source of the Palisades fire, as well as questions swirling about response times. Tell us about that.
Yeah, quickly, multiple lawsuits now against the SoCal Energy. It's the SoCal Edison, I should say. It's a major energy company here at this fire. A lot of people pointing towards some sparking utility poles. There was some video of a possible start here. The Edison company saying that there were no anomalies before that happened. Certainly doesn't rule it out, but obviously the CEO of the company fighting back. Meanwhile, the Palisades fire, they're pointing to a particular, almost like a hiking trail, which was above the scene. Didn't seem to be any sort of utility sparking there, so they're looking at the possibility that it was human-made. Doesn't mean it was arson. Of course, that's on the list of possibilities, but, obviously the investigation here continues, Savannah.
Steve, thank you very much.
From those fires to the winter blast now hitting the Great Lakes this morning. A lot to cover in your morning news now. Weather.
Angie Lassman's here in studio, and she's tracking a new clipper system. Don't know what that means, but she's going to tell us. Angie, good morning.
It's cold.
Oh, lucky for you guys. I'm here. Your science lesson begins now. That clipper system is just basically a fast-moving system that works out of Canada and works across most of the times parts of the northern tier of the country, and that is exactly what's happening this morning. Now you know. We've got the winter alerts up for a good chunk of the country, specifically downwind of the lakes. That's where we're continuing to see some of that snow falling. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, you're in the snow at this hour, but most of that's going to start to work its way a little farther east here as the day goes on. So if you live anywhere from, say, Virginia up to Vermont, there could be some snowy conditions for you, maybe some slick spots, some difficulty on the roads just through today. We'll see that system kind of quickly get out of here, and we'll notice some improvements for sure here as we get into the day tomorrow. In the meantime, before that happens, we have the chance to pick up anywhere from a half a foot to maybe 8 inches inches in some of those higher elevations of the Appalachians. I think downwind of the lake, Cleveland, Erie, you could see maybe an inch, maybe 2 inches in some of those higher amounts closer to that region. Pittsburgh, you'll pick up probably an inch by the time we get through today as well. And now we get to the kind of roller coaster ride that we're going to see when it comes to temperatures over the extended period. This isn't just a couple of days kind of situation. Right now, we're dealing with mild conditions actually across the middle of the country. So we've got 35 in Chicago. That's not bad for this time of year. 60s in Denver. That's way warm for what we normally see. Even Dallas running above normal for this time of year. You get another kind of round of that for tomorrow. Mild air kind of settles in across, again, the middle of the country and extends out towards the Midwest. But notice what happens as we get into the weekend and beyond. 10 degrees for Saturday in Minneapolis, -4 by Monday. That is, in fact, a high temperature. It is going to feel a whole lot chillier than that. Teens across the Great Lakes. We've got 10 degrees for Champaign, Illinois. We've got 30s in Knoxville and ending up into the 20s by Monday. When we look at next week, this continues. I mean, single digits for Chicago through the beginning of the week. We get back to the 20s. I guess that's an improvement by Wednesday. But guys, you can see that chilly air is as far south as Florida. We'll see feels like temperatures in places like Savannah Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday into the 20s. Single digit feels like for Charlotte on Tuesday and Wednesday. Check out New York. Do not forget your extra layers on Tuesday and Wednesday. We are talking -2, -1 for what it'll feel like. In Chicago, buckle up, -17 on Monday and Tuesday. Denver, even worse than that. It'll feel like 25 degrees
Oh, my
below.
goodness.
So for anybody that's been, wishing for winter, here you go.
Here it is.
Oh my
Winter
God.
is upon us.
I've been wishing for snow. Don't look at me like that.
This system just doesn't have any with it. I'm so sorry.
I've been wishing for -25. Thanks, Angie.
You got it.
All right, much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, trouble on the tarmac. The Department of Transportation suing Southwest Airlines over what it calls chronically delayed flights. More on the lawsuit, plus Southwest's response.
But up first, an uphill battle for some of President-elect Trump's cabinet picks. We will take you to Capitol Hill ahead of today's Senate confirmation hearing. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Today is day 3 of Senate confirmation hearings on Capitol Hill for President-elect Trump's cabinet picks. In the hot seat today, former North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin. Mr. Trump's pick for Attorney General Pam Bondi faced tough questions yesterday from Democrats. They grilled her on the results of the 2020 election and whether she would stand up to Mr. Trump if confirmed. Here's a little of what she had to say.
I will fight every day to restore confidence and integrity to the Department of Justice and each of its components. The partisanship, the weaponization will be gone. America will have one tier of justice for all.
NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins us now from Washington with the latest. Ryan, good morning. So Democrats wanted to know if Bondi would be independent or influenced by President-elect Trump while running the Department of Justice. Walk us through it. What were some of the key takeaways from yesterday's hearing?
Well, Joe, it's no doubt that Democrats wanted to pin her down on that and make sure that she would run a Justice Department that would follow the law and not the whims and the political wishes of Donald Trump. And one of the ways that they tried to pin that down was to talk about the role that she played in the efforts to overturn the 2020 election. She was a very active part of the Trump legal team on the ground in Pennsylvania, trying to overturn the results there. And she was specifically pressed about whether or not she thought that Donald Trump actually won that election in 2020, and she was a little bit evasive on that answer. Take a listen to this back and forth from the hearing.
On Fox News, you said, when Republicans take back the White House, the Department of Justice, the prosecutors will be prosecuted, the bad ones, the investigators will be investigated. Ms. Bondi, is Jack Smith one of those bad prosecutors that you will prosecute as AG?
Senator, you hesitated a bit when I said the bad ones. Every decision
Sometimes
will be
badness
made
in the eyes of the beholder. I'm just asking whether you would consider Jack Smith,
Senator,
to be one of the people. How about Liz Cheney?
Senator,
how about Merrick Garland?
I am not going to answer hypotheticals. No one has been prejudged, or nor will anyone be prejudged if I am confirmed.
And so that wasn't specifically about the election results, but more about whether or not she would go after some of the prosecutors that looked into these accusations against Donald Trump and his efforts to overturn the election related to the role that Bondi played during that period of time. While Democrats didn't seem very satisfied with her answers, Joe, it's important to keep in mind that not a single Democrat could vote for her and she can still win confirmation. She only needs 3 Republicans. If 3 Republicans voted no, that's where she would be in trouble. At this point, Bondi looks to be sailing to confirmation.
So, Ryan, in another hearing, Mr. Trump's pick for Secretary of State, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, was questioned by senators. This one seems a little less controversial. What did we hear there?
Yeah, there's no doubt that Rubio is going to sail to confirmation as well. In fact, his confirmation vote could come as soon as Monday, right after Donald Trump is sworn back into office. But Rubio's hearing was still pretty interesting. He was forced to answer a lot of questions about how the Trump administration is going to address foreign policy, in particular the war in Ukraine. And he was had a very notable answer because he said that both Russia and Ukraine are going to have to offer up concessions for the war to come to an end. That would be a slight shift in American foreign policy right now and perhaps gives us a glimpse as to how Donald Trump is going to handle bringing that conflict to an end in Europe.
All right, Ryan Noble's juggling all the confirmation hearings this week. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Joe.
Look at that gorgeous D.C. backdrop, sun rising. Well, overnight, Jeff Bezos successfully sent his first rocket into orbit. Here's the moment it launched.
Liftoff.
The rocket, named New Glenn after astronaut John Glenn, blasted off from the Cape Canaveral station in Florida after an attempt earlier this week was scrubbed. New Glenn went into orbit, but its booster failed to land onto a platform where it could be used again. The successful launch will increase the rivalry between Amazon founder Bezos' Blue Origin and Elon Musk's SpaceX, which carried out more than 100 launches last year. We love a space story here. Coming up, goodbye red dye, an ingredient commonly found in our food, is now banned by the FDA.
When we come back, more on what the ban means for you. You're watching Morning News Now.
We're back now with a new health ban from the Food and Drug Administration. The agency announced yesterday that it was no longer going to allow red dye number 3.
That dye is used in thousands of food products and is known to give them that bright red color. But it has been linked to cancer, and there are concerns about its effects on children's behavior.
NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel joins us on this. Dr. Patel, good morning. Great to have you with us. So according to U.S. agriculture data, more than 9,200 food and drink products have red dye number 3 in them. That includes, as you could probably guess, candy, but also cereals, cherries in fruit cocktails, strawberry-flavored milkshakes, so many things, which just when you hear what Joe just said, linked to cancer, I mean, it's just like, do we really need our foods to be red? Tell us exactly what's in this dye that makes it so difficult and so bad potentially for us.
Yeah, red dye number 3 is specifically what we're discussing. It's one of several different colored dyes, but it's also known as erythrocene. It's a synthetic food coloring, as you mentioned, Savannah, with food coloring made from petroleum, and it gives things that bright cherry red color. It's also commonly used in candies, as you mentioned, but candies we wouldn't even think of that don't have red in them, like candy corn we use in Halloween. So its chemical composition has this kind of base of petroleum. And when you kind of step back and think of it, you think, why haven't we done this? You know, earlier, the FDA's decision to do this comes after decades of delay. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. But it actually first banned red dye number 3 in 1990 from cosmetics. And since then, it's been an ongoing source of conversation. So finally, in 2025, we have guidance. So Doc, take place until 2027.
I'm going to quote you here. Why haven't we banned it yet if we've been pushing for this for so long?
Yeah, it's something a number of us in the health community have been asking, but I'll go ahead and give you a couple of reasons. First of all, we talk about the evidence for cancer. That's only been shown in animals, and there's been a lot of controversy about, can you really extrapolate something that's only been consistently shown in animals, that is cancer risk in rats and other animals, and extract it to animals like humans? So that's been one pushback. The other pushback has been just like some legal considerations. The FDA has been cautious about some potential legal challenges from food producers, because food producers have said, look, if you can't show a direct causal link with anything that's in humans, then why on earth should you prevent us from using it? And then food manufacturers, specifically people that are producing those bright red colored maraschino cherries, also had a pretty strong industry pushback several decades ago, and that's been continuing. There's still that pushback today, even after the FDA's announced this decision. So those are some of the reasons.
Oh my gosh, just kind of gets you fired up. Like, no, we don't want something bad for us in there just about the color. For people who are hearing, oh, it could be linked to cancer, and it's in so many things, and you might be trying to avoid it, but not even know that you can't. How concerned should people be that this is something that we've been consuming?
Yeah, I think that, like with anything, Savannah, we should be concerned if this is a large part of your diet. Now, I'm not trying to trivialize it, because after we talk about things like candy corn, medications, a lot of what it's commonly in, cereals, you do need to take a good look. So I've been encouraging people. Everybody's been asking, like, what foods are they exactly in? If it's not just bright red things, you can go to USDA.gov. There's also something called the Environmental Working Group, a nonprofit, EWG.org. And you can actually look even down to the level of detailed brands. But I would say with this, I try to make sure that if I'm picking up foods that look like they obviously have this kind of bright red coloring, I'm going to try to make sure I'm not having as much of that or that much on my plate for my kids. So this is just something that I would say, like, until 2027, when we're going to see this kind of industry-wide ban, just make sure you're putting a diversity of foods in your snacks and on your plate. And I think that that should help minimize some of those concerns. And again, talk to anybody if you feel like you've got any of these health risks. We haven't seen these risks of cancer in humans. There have been some studies which have suggested some hyperactivity in children who have a lot of this in their diet. So please talk to your doctor if you have concerns about that.
Real quick, on top of this ban on red dye number 3, the FDA also proposed significantly slashing the amount of nicotine allowed in cigarettes sold in the U.S.
Yeah.
How big of a deal is this?
Yeah, pretty big deal. This is to try to take down the millions and millions of Americans and numbers of youth that are starting to smoke by limiting the amount that's in each cigarette and combustible tobacco product. Could limit it, depending on these proposed regulations, as high as 42%, Joe. So this could have sweeping effects. Again, proposed regulation, number of actions need to take place, all positive steps to try to get people to stop smoking. Unlike everything else we've talked about where there are risks and benefits, there have been no benefits to any sort of tobacco ingestion.
Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you very much. Good stuff this morning.
Thank you.
Coming up, Southwest sued over what federal officials are calling chronically delayed flights. When we come back, details on the lawsuit, plus the airline's response.
And TikTok on the clock. Now, both the Biden and Trump administrations looking into ways to keep the popular app up and running, with a nationwide ban set to take effect this weekend. We'll tell you the latest next on Morning News Now.
We're back now with the Biden administration's latest crackdown on the nation's biggest airlines. The Department of Transportation is now suing Southwest Airlines, accusing the airline of chronically delayed flights and disrupting passengers' travel.
Here's what the DOT is alleging. From April to August back in 2022, there were nearly 200 delayed flights on 2 specific routes. One was from Chicago to Oakland, another from Baltimore to Cleveland. In that time, the department says Southwest was responsible, get this, for more than 90% of those flight disruptions.
NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos is here with more on this. Danny, good morning. So the Department of Transportation also fining Frontier Airlines $650,000 in civil penalties for delayed flights. Explain the government's argument here, how they're saying these disruptions are unlawful.
So chronically delayed flights are defined as a flight that is run 10 times or more a month and is more than 30 minutes late or canceled 50% of the time. I know that's a lot of numbers, but that is the burden under not only federal law, but federal regulations. And that's what DOT is alleging, not just against one airline, but several different airlines in the form of lawsuits and fines and things that are called consent orders, where essentially the agency goes to the airline and says, well, we could do this the hard way through legal action, or you could agree, we'll come to an agreement, you pay some money, and we move on. So the DOJ is going after not just one airline, but several different airlines as the days of this administration are winding to a close.
Well, let's talk about Southwest's side of things here. They said that they were, quote, disappointed by the lawsuits over the flights that happened more than 2 years ago. They also pointed to the fact that they completed more than 99% of flights without cancellations last year. Does that mean we should expect an appeal here? And then what does that look like, since we've only got a couple days left of this administration?
Right now, we're only at the lawsuit stage. The complaint has been filed. So what Southwest is going to do, presumably, is answer the complaint, but keep a dialogue open with the agency, especially because Southwest is wondering the same thing we are, which is what will be the posture of this litigation once this agency has a new head and a new administration in control of the agency, because the lawsuit will drag on for years if it's continued. So there's going to be a different administration with possibly a different view, or they may take up the case and say, we agree completely with what the Biden administration was doing here and trying to protect consumers.
This all comes just days after JetBlue. DOT fined JetBlue $2 million for chronic flight delays. Is this the level of government enforcement we could expect to see, or does it just depend on the next administration?
It totally depends on the next administration, but this doesn't seem to be a controversial form of enforcement. I do wonder why it comes in the closing days of one administration before the next one comes in, but under federal regulations that prohibit a kind of deceptive trade practices. In a way, it's like the consumer protection laws that apply to regular folks. The DOT is relying on regulations that require airlines to not use deceptive practices. And that's the allegation here, that by advertising that these flights move faster and more efficiently than they do, they're deceiving people like you and I who rely on those numbers. And you know what it's like to get stuck at the airport with a delayed flight. We all know that.
The public probably doesn't have major issues with some of these decisions by the DOT.
Yeah.
All right, Danny, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, breaking this morning, an update on TikTok in the U.S. We were able to report first here at NBC News that the Biden administration is now looking at ways to keep TikTok available past a deadline that is scheduled to go into effect on Sunday. That is according to 3 people familiar with the discussions. And this is significant because it is a reversal from the administration, who, of course, signed this potential ban into law. It also means now that President Biden and President-elect Trump want the same thing here. If the White House were able to do so, or if the Supreme Court decided to put that pause on it, the issue would then be deferred to President-elect Donald Trump, who will be inaugurated on Monday. Now, Trump's incoming national security advisor told Fox News the president-elect is ready to intervene to keep TikTok operational. They've also indicated they'd consider not having his attorney general enforce the law. Meanwhile, TikTok is considering its options, including allowing the app to remain active for existing users without future updates or tech support, with going completely dark as a last resort.
All right, let's get to some financial headlines this morning. The Biden administration announced a new executive order on cybersecurity right before the president leaves office.
CNBC's Savannah Hanau has more on that and some other money news. Hey, Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning to you. That's right. So that cybersecurity executive order, it will impose new standards for companies that do business with the U.S. government and calls for greater disclosure from software providers. They will have to show their development practices are secure, as cyber attacks have caused a number of disruptions inside federal agencies in recent years. Now, it is unclear whether the new Trump White House will uphold Biden's executive order. Fox will stream the Super Bowl for free on Tubi for the first time. Fox bought Tubi. That's a free ad-supported service in 2020. Now, Fox streamed the game on its own website and digital apps 2 years ago. You can stream the Super Bowl in 4K on your phone or smart TV, but you will need a Tubi account to watch. Tubi, which has about 100 million active users, also has Fox's pregame show and its own red carpet show. And more than 60 one-of-a-kind items will be auctioned off ahead of the Grammy Awards to benefit wildfire relief in California. The Music Cares charity relief auction will include guitars signed by Bruce Springsteen and Olivia Rodrigo, a top hat owned by Stevie Nicks, and one of Dolly Parton's sequined jumpsuits. The auction takes place on February 2nd at 2 p.m. Eastern, guys.
That is so great to see that response
really
there
is.
ahead of the
Yeah.
Grammys. All right, Savannah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, speaking of, tens of thousands of structures in Los Angeles were decimated in the wildfires, including several homes and also small businesses at the centers of these communities. NBC's Jacob Sobroff visited hard-hit Altadena, where one business owner told him they can always rebuild. They're just grateful to be safe and alive.
This is the epicenter of the Eaton fire zone here in Altadena. Small businesses are the backbone for so many locals here, and so many of them have been decimated. This was a pizza place called Side Pie. I actually had my son's 9th birthday here just over a month ago. Look inside. Even the pizza oven burned.
Kevin Hawkins started Side Pie during the pandemic.
I have 13, 14 employees, and it's like my heart breaks.
He and partner Rosanna Kvermo run several small businesses in the area.
You can't get to your house.
No.
And your daughter's school is closed.
Yes.
So it's not just the small business.
No.
No.
While the entire shop caught fire, the back courtyard, typically filled with families and kids, didn't burn.
What's it like to be back here?
When I saw the tables, I was like, oh, yes, this is definitely coming back. This community is so special, and it's
So
really
special.
special to have a business here.
Yeah.
Down the road, the Chikura family lost rhythms of the village, their shop, and the only African store in the San Gabriel Valley.
I saw the shop fully ablaze, and I screamed. I felt sad, I felt all the emotions, and then I came to the conclusion that we can rebuild, and those are material things. What matters is that we're all alive.
What are you bringing in?
Now they're using their home to coordinate donations for the community.
Bedding, clothes, shoes, random.
We appreciate it.
Okay.
Bring it on down. That's the way I was raised, being communal. So it's almost divine that we're back here, back at square one, and in a position to support anybody in need right now.
Even as you guys are hurting.
Yes,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That's our spirit.
Yeah, because in my culture, if you have, I have. If I have, you have.
A week after they lost everything, a community facing the future together. Jacob Soberoth, NBC News, Altadena, California.
All right, coming up, a slice of drama with a New York City twist.
When we return, we'll take you to Brooklyn, where a legendary pizzeria just opened up a new restaurant right across from two other pizzerias. This is Morning News Now.
Welcome back. As SNL celebrates its 50th season, we are learning pieces of the iconic show's history will be kept for future generations. Creator Lorne Michaels is donating his archive to the University of Texas at Austin. It includes hundreds of boxes of storyboards, show rehearsal notes, and other documents highlighting Michaels' unparalleled career. There are also some personal photos from hit movies he produced, like Mean Girls and Wayne's World. They're calling it, fittingly, the Lorne Michaels collection. An exhibition will also open to the public in September. The school says it's grateful to have access to a legacy that has kept us, quote, up late and laughing for 50 years. I feel like a lot of folks are going to want to check out that exhibition they do later this year to see, I mean, 50 years, the stories he must have and the things he's collected out of this world.
Yeah, and Joe, we are lucky enough to obviously work in the same building as SNL, and all the little mementos that are in cases and stuff here are so cool. So that's awesome. Thanks, Joe. Well, finally, this hour, one legendary pizzeria is serving up a friendly pizza war. At least that's what some customers are calling it. Iconic New York pizzeria L&B Spumoni Gardens just opened a second shop, but it's right across the street from two other iconic shops in Brooklyn. Drama. NBC's Valerie Castor went to check out what some are calling the new pizza mecca.
A visit to New York City is not complete without a slice of pizza.
For New York-style pizza is just magic.
And for years, tourists and New Yorkers alike have been lining up for two of the city's famed pizza spots near the base of the legendary Brooklyn Bridge.
We're about an hour and a half from New York, so we decided to come get some pizza for the week.
But the competition on this block just got hotter than a pizza oven.
We're really considering this area like a new pizza mecca of New York. You know, a pizza row.
The iconic L&B Spumoni Gardens, operating since 1939 and famous for their square upside-down pie, recently opening up a second outpost. But the choice of this location could be seen by some as throwing down a gauntlet. Is there a pizza war going on here?
Oh, absolutely not. It's a friendly one, if anything.
L&B Spumoni Gardens picked prime real estate for this location. It's in the heart of the Dumbo neighborhood in Brooklyn, which is a big draw for tourists. But right across the street are two other famous pizza restaurants that have been here for years. Grimaldi's Pizzeria and Giuliana's are the strongholds on this side of the street, but their newest competitor is armed with enough ovens to feed an army.
We have an arsenal of ovens to give us anything from, again, 500 and above pies a day.
Grimaldi's Pizzeria, here since the early 90s, not intimidated by the newcomer.
Our oven is the most important thing that makes it different than everyone else. So our pizza is still ours, their pizza is theirs, and people can choose.
And even embracing the potential for more business.
Maybe it'll draw more people over here into the area. And maybe people will want to go and taste all three of the pizzerias and do a taste test.
Giuliana's also welcoming the challenger.
It's absolutely a friendly competition. It is not a pizza war. There could bring more people into the neighborhood and now this is even more of a pizza mecca than it was just a week ago. That's what we were hoping. That's what we expect.
Customers at all three just hungry for a taste of New York.
If someone loves pizza, I mean, I think you just got to try them all, see what you like the most.
Grimaldi's is delicious, so love a little friendly rivalry.
I think it's a competition, but it's fun. It's just about like who can innovate and make the best pizza, and you can just play off of each other. And if one place is too busy, you can go somewhere else. And I don't know, it just adds to the magic of the city.
Just don't try to take a knife and fork into this battle.
Hands or knife and fork?
In New York, we use hands.
Okay.
Valerie Castro, NBC News.
Oh, come on. Of course, hands.
You just have to go there, have breakfast at one, lunch at the other, dinner at the other, and then you can decide which one you like the best.
Yeah, I love the taste test idea.
All right. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Don't go anywhere. The news continues right now. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, deal in doubt. That ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas now up in the air. Israel delaying a critical vote, claiming Hamas is working to extort some terms and conditions. But Hamas says it remains committed to the original deal announced on Wednesday. That breakthrough triggering cautious hope around the world for an end to the bloodshed after the death of more than 46,000 in Gaza, and some family members of those remaining hostages still skeptical of the negotiations.
We don't want more hostages left behind, and we don't want to hear about more hostages being killed in captivity like my cousin.
We have the very latest on this delicate diplomatic situation. Back home, parting words from President Biden in his farewell address to the nation, the outgoing commander-in-chief offering this solemn warning just days before a new administration steps in.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead.
We're also heading back to Capitol Hill, where another batch of Trump cabinet picks is set to be grilled by lawmakers. Relief out west as those Santa Ana winds calm. First responders are finally gaining an upper hand on the deadly wildfires ravaging Southern California. We are on the ground with the difficult road ahead for residents as recovery now comes into focus. And it's almost game day. Super Bowl 59 just a few weeks away. And even if you're not the biggest football fan, you might still tune in for those iconic commercials. Later this hour, the big brands are getting ready for their big moment because we get to see them in advance all the time.
I never get that. I totally am like, what? The whole point.
They save a few for the day of, so you can savor those as well. We're going to begin this hour in the Middle East, where Israeli strikes on Gaza are continuing this morning. That's despite yesterday's announcement of a ceasefire hostage deal.
Dozens of Palestinians have been killed, according to local health officials, since the agreement was revealed by the U.S. and Qatar. This morning, though, there's renewed uncertainty over the deal itself after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delayed a cabinet vote accusing Hamas of reneging on parts of the deal. A Hamas official says the group is committed to the deal and accused Netanyahu of trying to sabotage the agreement. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest.
There are already signs of how difficult this deal is going to be to implement. Prime Minister Netanyahu was supposed to meet with his government this morning to formally ratify the agreement, but in the last minute, that meeting was postponed, with Netanyahu accusing Hamas of trying to change the deal. Hamas denies that and is calling on the United States to mediate this dispute. But so far, critically, neither side is walking away from the deal. Neither side is saying that it is off. But it does seem like the accusations, the arguments, and the fighting will continue right until the last minute.
Even with a ceasefire deal announced, attacks in Gaza continued overnight. Palestinian medical officials say 71 people were killed, including dozens of women and children, in Israeli strikes after the deal was brokered last night. This will be tough. This morning, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused Hamas of trying to change the terms. Hamas responded, accusing Netanyahu of looking for excuses not to implement the ceasefire. Nonetheless, the framework of a deal has been announced and, at least for now, appears to be going forward. In Gaza, the reaction was immediate, joy and relief.
As you see, all people, men and women, young and old, they are celebrating, they are so happy.
15 months of war have devastated Gaza. Nearly the entire population has been displaced and living on the brink of famine, according to the UN. Local officials say nearly 47,000 Gazans have been killed. In Israel, a mixed reaction. Some relief, no doubt, but melancholy as well. Not all of the hostages will be coming back alive. President Biden said the deal is based on a framework his administration worked out last May, and that conditions finally made it possible.
With nowhere to turn, Hamas finally agreed to releasing hostages.
The State Department said the involvement of President-elect Trump's envoy in the talks was also critical. President Biden was asked who deserved credit.
Who does the history books credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke?
The deal is complex and slow, divided into 3 phases. In phase 1, starting Sunday, 33 hostages, the sick, injured, women, and elderly, are due to start being released in batches over 42 days. Israeli troops pull out of population centers in Gaza, allow in more aid, and release some Palestinian prisoners. The next 2 phases, the release of all remaining hostages, including Israeli soldiers, and the rebuilding of Gaza, still need to be negotiated. The current conflict began on October 7th, when Hamas massacred 1,200 people in Israel and took more than 250 hostages. Among them, 12 Americans. Some were previously released. 3 are still being held hostage and believed to be still alive. 2 are on the list for phase 1 release.
Over the past 15 months, the families of the hostages have formed quite close bonds, so they're trying to be sensitive to each other. The families who are expecting to receive their loved ones in the first phase are not going on television, not expressing their joy and anticipation, knowing that other families are going to have to wait through this long and complex process, and that others will be receiving bodies.
Richard, thank you very much.
For more on the ceasefire deal, what it means for the families of the remaining hostages, let's bring in former hostage negotiator Gan Baskin. Gan, always good to have you with us. Let's start with just the latest. This claim from Netanyahu's office that Hamas is reneging on parts of the agreement. The response from Hamas, they're committed to the deal. Are these the sort of last-minute speed bumps that are expected, or do you think this deal might be in real trouble?
No, I don't think the deal is in real trouble. Both sides have real interest in making sure that it happens. I think that Prime Minister Netanyahu is facing difficulties within his own coalition, and he's putting up these claims that Hamas is adding additional conditions. It doesn't seem that that's really the case. What might be needed in order to help us move forward is a statement from President Trump or from Trump's emissary, Steve Witkoff, to the sides to get this deal done. As Trump has been saying the last week, it is quite significant that the 2 administrations were working hand in hand. But there's no doubt Biden put this deal on the table in May, and it took until the target date of January 20th to make sure that it happened.
Gershon, we could just imagine a ceasefire deal seems near, raises the hopes of the families of the remaining hostages, and they're just on this roller coaster, obviously, over these many months, but also just in the last 24 hours. Walk us through, in your experience, dealing with negotiations like this, what is going through their minds at the moment?
They're all panicking and they're suffering, and there's the fear that some hostages may never be recovered, because it's very likely that hostages might be buried underneath the rubble of buildings that Israel bombed. There are thousands of Gazans that are designated as missing, their burial place unknown, as they were in buildings that were bombed by Israel. 80% of the buildings in Gaza have been destroyed, partially or fully. So this is a big fear. It's also that this deal is not a good deal. A good deal would have ended this all within a period of 3 weeks, ended the war, an Israeli withdrawal, the return of all the hostages, freeing Palestinian prisoners. This is going to be drawn out for 3 months, and this is really torture for everyone. Hamas is going to release hostages once a week in small batches. Israel will release Palestinian prisoners in coordination with the release of hostages. And there's so many points of possible exit and misunderstandings and breaches of the deal. I don't know why the people who designed it even let it go through. There was a 3-week deal on the table already from September, but President Biden and his people didn't pick it up, and the Egyptians and the Qataris didn't pick it up. Hamas wouldn't announce it, even though they agreed to it, and Netanyahu wasn't ready to end the war. So this is why we're stuck with this bad deal that will take 2 to 3 months to fulfill.
You know, Gershon, these hostages have been in captivity for 15 months. We spoke earlier this morning with the father of Sagi Dekelhen, who talks about the moment, the image he's had in his head for 15 months of his son walking in the door, his kids running, hugging their father. What should families prepare for in the event their loved ones do finally return home? That transition is not an easy one.
Right, everyone's hoping for the best, but no one is expecting anyone to come back who are alive as being normal. They have gone through unbelievable trauma and experiences that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. I received a request from a woman who was a hostage, whose husband is still a hostage. She was begging me to try and reach out to Hamas or to the mediators to find out if they can tell her if her husband is alive. She doesn't even know if a body is going to come back or if a living husband is going to come back. And this is just tragic.
Gan Baskin, we appreciate your time and expertise as always, especially on a day like this. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, let's get to President Biden. He addressed the nation one last time as commander-in-chief, gave his farewell address last night from the Oval Office. He discussed his accomplishments over the last 4 years. Mr. Biden also spoke about threats to our democracy as, of course, a new administration is set to take office in just 4 days.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power.
NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us now with more. Peter, good morning. So we heard the president be reflective in his remarks last night. Also, on the other hand, without mentioning his name, Mr. Biden took jabs at the person he succeeded and who will soon succeed him, President-elect Trump. Tell us some of the highlights here.
Yeah, Savannah, 17 minutes the president spoke. You remember when he first came to Washington, he was elected as a 29-year-old, one of the youngest senators America had ever seen. He now departs on Monday as an 82-year-old, the oldest living president, a senior statesman of sorts. And he really did sort of defend his record last evening, also try to define his legacy before President-elect Trump returns. He doesn't think he gets enough credit, aides say, for his accomplishments taking office 4 years ago amid a global pandemic with a serious economic crisis in this country, and also after January 6th, threats to democracy. He believes that he has made the country more prosperous and more secure, as he indicated last night. Many Americans, a majority of Americans, still say they're dissatisfied with his presidency. And last night, the president said it's going to take time for Americans to start to feel some of that. But he said the seeds are planted. And you played one of the key warnings he delivered last night. Here's a little bit more of what the president said looking forward.
In the past 4 years, our democracy is held strong. And every day I've kept my commitment to be president for all Americans through one of the toughest periods in our nation's history. We need to amend the Constitution to make clear that no president is immune from crimes that he or she commits while in office. The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute, and it shouldn't be.
That warning there about unchecked power, without using his name, referring to the incoming president, President-elect Trump. He also said, among other things, that he wishes the incoming administration success because he said he wants America to succeed. Savannah?
What accomplishments did he tout? What was the top of the list?
Well, he went through a lot of it, in particular the restoration of so many jobs, 16+ million jobs that were restored, a lot of those jobs lost during the pandemic. Again, the point that he makes is that his legacy is still being defined, that a lot of the money he invested in infrastructure and climate change initiatives, clean energy, is stuff that will be felt over the course of the next several years, perhaps for a decade and longer. So the president does hope that that's part of the lasting legacy that he leaves behind. He did also note, though, on the issue of democracy, he really tried to put this issue in the hands of Americans, saying that they must now stand guard and that they must be the keeper of the flame. Savannah?
Peter, before I let you go, I do want to ask you about this news that we were able to break last night here at NBC News, efforts by the Biden administration to now figure out how to keep TikTok available in these final days before a ban is scheduled to go into effect. Significant, of course, because that is a reversal, and also because it means President Biden and President-elect Trump essentially want the same thing. What can you tell us?
Well, it's interesting because both President-elect Trump and President Biden initially had said they supported a ban. Now both of them are looking for ways to sort of avoid being put into that position. The administration in its waning days with the expectation a ban could go into effect into Thursday, on Sunday, says that if it were to happen, they were considering ways to try to make it remain available, which in effect would kick the can down the road to the Trump administration. We heard from Mike Waltz. He is the incoming national security advisor for Donald Trump. He spoke just a couple of days ago saying that the Trump administration is ready to preserve that popular Chinese app when they take office as well. But the bottom line is, if this ban were to go into effect on Sunday, think about it, Savannah, that would really be the headline-grabbing image of Joe Biden's final day in office. That is among the reasons they don't want this to happen. And Donald Trump certainly realizes how popular this app is, and he doesn't want to look like he's the one who's enforcing a ban that would really upset a lot of the people who may have voted for him.
It's going to be a fascinating few days on that front. Peter, thank you very much.
Yeah.
A third day of Senate confirmation hearings will take place today on Capitol Hill for President-elect Trump's cabinet picks. His Attorney General pick, Pam Bondi, was grilled yesterday by lawmakers. She was questioned about Mr. Trump's influence as well as potentially going after political opponents. NBC News chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins us now with the latest on the hearings. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, there is a theme that is emerging in these hearings. Republicans remain supportive of Trump's choices, while Democrats are pressing these picks about where their loyalties lie.
It is a crucial step in forming the cabinet that will implement Donald Trump's agenda when he takes office in just 4 days.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give?
A round robin of Senate hearings for powerful posts across the federal government, headlined by Trump's pick for Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who tussled with Democrats while defending her connection to the incoming president.
I'm not going to be bullied by you,
the 14th Amendment of the United States of America, which was deeply disappointing.
Bondi, the former Attorney General of Florida, replaced Trump's original pick, former Congressman Matt Gaetz, when it became clear Gaetz did not have the votes to be confirmed. She promised the panel that politics will not play a role in the Justice Department's decisions.
There will never be an enemies list within the Department of Justice.
Getting into a heated exchange with California Senator Adam Schiff when asked if she would investigate some of President-elect Trump's political rivals, including former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney.
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
Liz,
has
we're
called,
also worried about Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this.
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
the
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You are
is
aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi.
Bondi, who was involved in Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election in Pennsylvania, pressed on whether she would now acknowledge Trump lost.
Who won the 2020 presidential election?
Joe Biden is the president of the United States.
Later asked if she had doubts that Biden had won.
I accept, of course, that Joe Biden is president of the United States. I was on the ground in Pennsylvania, and I saw many things there. But do I accept the results? Of course I do. Do I agree with what happened? And I saw so much.
Loyalty was a question for other potential nominees as well, including John Ratcliffe, who's been tapped to run the CIA.
Will you reassure your workforce that loyalty tests are not allowed and not encouraged in the CIA?
I will.
And in a Truth Social post overnight, the incoming president said that his team has hired more than 1,000 people for jobs in the federal government. But in talking about that loyalty test, he made it clear that these people are not people recommended by Republicans that he now considers his political enemies, calling out names like Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, Nikki Haley, and his former vice president, Mike Pence. Joe.
All right. Ryan, thank you.
Well, it's been more than a week now since the Southern California wildfires destroyed more than 12,000 homes and businesses. Finally, this morning, the weather is cooperating. Red flag warnings will be expiring. But as firefighters continue to work, the reality of a difficult recovery is settling in. NBC News national correspondent Morgan Chesky has been on the ground since the start of these fires. He joins us now from Los Angeles with the latest. Morgan, good morning.
Yeah, Savannah, good morning. And fortunately, for the first time since these fires broke out, Mother Nature at least appears to be lending a hand. Those 70-mile-an-hour winds that were forecast yesterday never materialized. And now, as investigators pore over dozens of leads in finding the cause of these fires, the calls for accountability are absolutely growing.
This morning, a glimpse of recovery amid a week-long, heartbreaking, and relentless firefight. Officials saying growth has slowed or stopped on both major blazes as evacuated families wait anxiously to return home.
Significant safety and infrastructure issues remain, including downed power lines, broken gas lines, hazardous materials, and unsafe water.
But so many are starting from scratch.
We have school today.
The Dale family waking daughters Felicity, Minnie, and Tallulah for a first day of classes at a brand new campus after the Palisades fire took both their home and school. Their prior 3-minute school commute now takes an hour from a friend's home, but worth every second.
We're just so happy to give them normalcy because they were so happy this morning.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Districts now scrambling to absorb 7,000 displaced students.
This is an effort that's been extremely effective for the benefit of the students.
Calls for accountability growing. Eaton fire survivors filing another lawsuit against Southern California Edison. In the Palisades, 17 joining a civil lawsuit against the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, claiming the water supply system servicing Pacific Palisades failed miserably. Dan Grigsby lost his home of 37 years.
What do you say when you hear from officials that this natural disaster was out of anyone's control?
Yes, I can understand that response, but on an individual basis, some homes, in my mind, could have been saved.
For many, the plan for recovery is still uncertain. In Altadena, Camille Bragg's family lost 4 houses. But for them, this community is forever home.
We will rebuild. My grandmother worked way too hard to get us here. For us to just let that go, we're going to continue her legacy.
And amid that ongoing recovery, there are still troubling incidents. San Bernardino police reporting that they arrested a man late yesterday for starting a brush fire. Fortunately, it was quickly contained, but he does face felony charges. Meanwhile, the EPA announcing they are dispatching a 500-person team to the fire zone to assist in the ongoing process of gathering and disposing of the hazardous materials here. And that is a process they say will take at least a month. Savannah.
Morgan Chesky, thank you very much.
Now to the winter blast that's hitting the Great Lakes this morning.
Angie Lastman's tracking it all for us. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning to you. We've got some wintry weather on the way for folks across the east, specifically the Great Lakes, and then moving into the Appalachians and maybe even a couple of folks across the Northeast. Here's what we've got as far as those winter alerts right now. About 9 million people included in those. You can see some of those snow showers working through Cleveland and Pittsburgh. This is all part of a clipper system, a fast-moving system that's going to work its way across this region and kind of be out of here, honestly, by the time we get into tomorrow, but not before it leaves us with a couple of snowy spots, maybe some slick conditions on those roadways, extending from the Northeast all the way down into points of the Mid-Atlantic. Now, when it comes to the highest totals, I think parts of West Virginia, that's where you'll see maybe 8-10 inches of snow, and especially in the higher elevations. But you can see downwind of the lake for places like Cleveland, Erie, even Pittsburgh. An inch or two is what we're expecting when this is all said and done by tomorrow. Here's a look at those temperatures. This is where we've got we're going to have a whole lot to deal with over the next couple of days, with potentially some of the coldest air of the season on the way. Not just yet, though, for most of us. We're still going to see temperatures running above normal for places like Dallas, Chicago, even 35 degrees for your high. That's about where you should be for this time of year. Denver, you're going to hit the 60s today. It's going to be kind of mild, kind of nice. You'll see plenty of sunshine across a good chunk of this area as well. And that even lasts into tomorrow, 45 rather, for Davenport. We've got 50s in Memphis, milder conditions. That extends out to the east as well, as we kind of sit in a normal range for the time being. By the time we get into Saturday, though, we head into the weekend, and that's when we really start to see this cold air spill into parts of the northern plains. Minneapolis, just 10 degrees on Saturday. We're sub-zero for Sunday and Monday. Those are high temperatures. We are not going to get even into 0 and above by the time we get into the afternoon hours in Minneapolis on both Sunday and Monday. Detroit, you'll be down to 10 degrees by Monday. We've got places like Kansas City into the teens as we head through Monday. 50s in Memphis on Saturday and upper 20s by Monday. So you can see this air is going to be even farther south and even chillier than the last kind of go around we had with this last week. Notice how that works into next week. We'll see temperatures in places like New Orleans into the 30s, 39 degrees on Tuesday. Savannah, you head into the low 40s. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of cities across this region set maybe even some record cold temperatures for their highs that day, or maybe Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Farther north, though, Chicago, you get just 6 degrees for your high on Monday, 10 degrees on Tuesday. We'll get a little better by Wednesday, but honestly, the wind chills are going to be brutal. 17 below for Monday and Tuesday in Chicago. Extra layers, not spending any extra time outdoors for sure. We've got single digits for wind chills in Memphis. We've got 9 degrees for what it'll feel like on Tuesday and Wednesday in Charlotte, even New York City, sub-zero. Denver, Tuesday. That's the lowest temperature on the map there. But there's going to be a lot of folks, guys, that deal with these kind of really chilly conditions for the extended period. Will we get some snow? Maybe, potentially in a couple of spots. But honestly, the way this system's working, it looks like we'll see lots of sunshine with this. We will, though, have to contend with a different storm system working across parts of the southeast by Saturday. A little bit of rain for folks there, so gear up for that. It won't be chilly enough to see that as snow. But maybe we'll wait until next week to see what we got going on.
Just wrote Andrea a note. Snow Sunday?
Question mark? You can't enjoy it because you're going to freeze to death. But...
Snow Sunday on Baskin.
Not yet, Zion. I will text you.
Throw an ice ball at someone. All right.
That is full-on long underwear weather. That is, yeah.
And then some.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Andrea.
You got it.
Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, a health warning about California's air quality. So we're going to talk to an expert about the risks of being exposed to all that smoke and ash.
But first, trouble for Southwest Airlines. We'll have the latest on a pilot that was arrested in the cockpit and a federal effort to hold the airline accountable for delayed flights. Stay with us. Welcome back. This morning, a Southwest Airlines pilot is charged with DUI after being arrested Wednesday, get this, in the cockpit of a plane preparing for takeoff at a Georgia airport. And it comes as Southwest is also facing a lawsuit from the Department of Transportation for chronically delayed flights. NBC's Tom Costello covers aviation for us, of course. He's tracking it all. Tom, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Not a good day at all for Southwest Airlines. Let's start with that pilot accused of being in the cockpit under the influence. Police actually boarded the plane. The flight was delayed 5 hours after police took that pilot into custody.
It happened on Southwest Flight 3772, bound for Chicago Midway.
My husband just kind of looked over and he goes, "That's odd. There's a police officer on the plane."
Passengers Patty and Edward Dermody capturing this photo as police boarded the plane Wednesday at Savannah Hilton Head International Airport and arrested pilot David Alsop for allegedly driving under the influence, that according to the Chatham County Sheriff's Office. The 52-year-old pilot removed from the aircraft.
And when they walked out with the pilot, my first comment to her was, "He's drunk." His face was red. He looked like he'd been out or tired or just hadn't slept.
A source with knowledge of the situation tells NBC News a TSA officer believed he or she had smelled alcohol and informed police per their protocol.
When you walk through security, those people are trained to recognize any potential impairment. There's a lot of checks and balances.
Southwest Airlines says it's aware of the situation, apologizing for the disruption, writing the employee has been removed from duty and customers were accommodated on other flights. Under the FAA's so-called bottle to throttle rule, pilots are supposed to wait at least 8 hours after their last drink before flying, or if they have a blood alcohol reading greater than 0.04. The incident comes as the DOT is also accusing Southwest of allegedly illegally operating multiple chronically delayed flights in 2022 that resulted in 180 flight disruptions. The DOT says the airline was responsible for more than 90% of the disruptions. In a statement, Southwest writes it's disappointed the department filed suit on flights from more than 2 years ago, adding, last year, Southwest led the industry by completing more than 99% of its flights without cancellation.
Yeah, back now to that pilot arrested for allegedly being intoxicated on board the plane. We've asked the sheriff for any information about who his attorney might be and also when the first court appearance might be. Bond is set at $3,500. Savannah?
Yeah, Tom, I'm fascinated to learn about that bottle to throttle rule. Let's also go back to the lawsuit. You mentioned Secretary Buttigieg is sending a message to all airlines, not just about Southwest, whether the airlines are on their radar.
Well, by the way, Frontier was also fined $650,000 also for running chronically, their words, chronically delayed flights. Half of that money will go to the DOT. The other half would be suspended if Frontier no longer operates chronically delayed flights. And as you probably remember, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. JetBlue fined $2 million for running chronically delayed flights. Buttigieg says, and by the way, as you know, he will be out of his position in less than a week, but he says this is about sending airlines a message that they must treat passengers appropriately. They cannot run chronically delayed flights or the DOT will take action. But, Savannah, and there's a big caveat, we'll see if the Trump administration is as aggressive about enforcing these passenger rights that the Biden administration has enacted as the Biden administration has been.
Tom, it impacts so many people. So interesting. Thank you very much.
International headlines now, starting with new developments in the arrest of South Korea's president.
NBC International correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us from Rome with more. Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. The day after the president of South Korea was arrested over his role in the declaration of martial law back in December, his lawyers say he has refused to answer questions as they consider the investigation illegal. Now, President Yoon on Wednesday exercised his right to remain silent over more than 10 hours of questioning. Now authorities have 48 hours either to request a court order for his formal arrest or to release him. Let's go to Ukraine now, where during a surprise visit to Kyiv, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer pledged to guarantee the country's security for a century. Starmer said he and Ukraine's President Zelensky will sign a 100-year partnership treaty covering areas including defense, science, energy, and trade. The UK is one of Ukraine's biggest military backers and one of several allies who rushed to flood Ukraine with as much support as possible before Trump's inauguration next week. And let's end this tour of the world at the Australia Open. Tennis fans who can't be there in person can always watch it live on a screen, of course, but this year they have another option: to watch the animation of the game in real time on YouTube. The players and the courts are turned into what looks like a video game or a cartoon, mimicking exactly what's happening in the stadiums. Organizers guarantee it's the players' actual movement and boast that they are taking the real into the unreal, although I would rather call it surreal. But several players say they're having a ball to see themselves on the replays turned into cartoon characters. Back to you guys.
That's so cool.
It's like you're playing Wii tennis right there.
God, I haven't thought about Wii in a minute. I used to be so into Wii.
Thank you, Claudio. Appreciate
Thanks.
it. Coming up, goodbye to red dye. We're going to tell you why the FDA is finally banning the ingredient decades after it was first linked to cancer.
Also, we'll speak with an expert about the smoky skies in California and what people should know as they prepare to start cleaning up in the wake of the wildfires.
We're back now with a health alert from the FDA. The agency announced yesterday it's banning the use of red dye number 3 after the product was linked to cancer in animals.
Yeah, big news. The synthetic dye is commonly used in stuff like candy, snacks, drinks. This decision is seen as a victory for consumer advocacy groups and lawmakers who have pushed for this approval for it to be revoked. NBC News Now anchor Vicky Nguyen joins us to explain the significance here. Hey, Vicky, good morning.
Good morning. Red dye number 3 is kind of everywhere, guys. It is found in thousands of food products to give them that bright red color. But it has been linked to cancer in animals, and there are concerns that it can affect behavior in children. Now food makers have 2 years to remove it from their products.
The FDA putting the brakes on red dye number 3, an ingredient added to candy, cakes, cereal, and many other food and drink products, giving them their vibrant cherry red color. It's no longer approved for use in food or dietary supplements, a move that has experts and consumers cheering.
It is totally unnecessary, and we don't need the chemicals.
I know it's only one dye, and there's so many others out there, but that is a step, guys. I am so happy.
It's a great step for consumers and for public health.
The switch long overdue, according to Thomas Galligan, principal scientist for food additives and supplements at the Center for Science in the Public Interest. The group launched a petition in 2022 calling on the FDA to ban the red dye, which is found on ingredient labels under several different names. It's currently used in a wide variety of foods and medicines, including frozen desserts, colored beverages, protein shakes, and meats. It's also added to color pain relievers, antidepressants, and heartburn meds.
Why is this ban a victory for consumer health and safety?
Red 3 is a food dye that has been known to cause cancer in animals.
Red 3 was approved for use in foods in 1907. It's made from petroleum. The FDA first learned Red 3 was potentially cancer-causing after a study in the 1980s that found tumors in male rats exposed to high doses of the dye. The agency says there has been no link between Red Dye 3 and cancer in humans. But a 2021 California study looking at artificial dyes, including Red 3, linked the dyes to hyperactivity and restlessness in some children. In a statement, the International Association of Color Manufacturers telling NBC News it remains steadfast in its commitment to upholding the highest safety standards, adding, "Our members will continue to comply with FDA regulations." Advocacy groups applauding the ban's health benefit to kids.
It's such a move in the right direction.
In the meantime, health experts say don't throw out what's in your cupboards, but take note of what you buy next.
If you still have some Christmas cookies on your shelf that have red dye on them, it is still okay to eat those. But when you go to the store next time, maybe reach for the red apple instead of reaching for the bag of red candy.
And here's the thing, Red Dye 3 already banned from food in other countries. You're probably not surprised. Australia, Japan, the European Union. One exception, cocktail cherries containing the dye are not banned in the EU. They have a pretty strong lobby there, I guess. Food makers do have until January of 2027 to remove the red dye. Medicine makers, the drug makers, have another year after that.
Wow, just
I know.
Fascinating. You're like, why didn't this happen sooner?
Exactly.
Vicki, thank you so much.
You bet.
Let's stay on health news now and look at an aspect of the California wildfires that is worrying a lot of people, how it will affect air quality. The Los Angeles County Department of Health has issued a wind-blown dust and ash advisory this week. That's an alert to warn about potential gusty winds that could stir up ash and dust from burned structures impacting air all around the city and the county. More, we're joined by Professor Michael Kleeman with the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at UC Davis. Good to have you with us, Professor. I know this is something that's on the minds of people in Southern California and also people who've just been watching the coverage all around the country. Talk about how bad the air quality in LA is, even at this moment, and explain why there are some officials out there who are warning that the air quality index, known as the AQI, maybe isn't always the most 100% reliable source, especially in the wake of a fire like this.
Well, we're in the cleanup phase now, and that's a really critical phase in which you want to try to make sure that the ash from the fire isn't stirred up around you. The air quality index is based on centralized monitors, but you can create your own local cloud of dust if you work around that ash improperly. So really preventing it from getting stirred up in the atmosphere right now is your best way to try to avoid exposure to more air pollution. When I was in Los Angeles collecting samples over the weekend, I saw people using leaf blowers to try to clear the ash off their properties. And that is the last thing that you want to do. You do not want to stir this up. You want to try to lightly wet the surface and then sweep it up or shovel it up and contain it into trash bags if you have a small amount of it. If you're dealing with a whole burned out house, that's probably a job for a professional, not for you as a homeowner. And you want to be really careful if you go into that home looking at a fireproof safe or something like that, trying to recover valuables, to make sure that you don't stir it up. So you really want to try to protect your health in this phase of the cleanup by preventing that ash from getting stirred up. And your actions are really important in trying to prevent that.
So what are some of the potential long-term health effects from exposure to air that's filled with these smoke particles and toxins, even maybe a week later? And just real quick, give us some of the best advice for people who are in this situation right now.
Well, you know, the long-term risk that we all worry about is cancer. A lot of the metals and a lot of the materials in the houses that burned, they're all toxic and they do have a cancer risk long-term. So you really want to avoid breathing that first and foremost. That's your most immediate exposure route, but you also don't want it on your skin. And so you want to be careful to wear long sleeves and long pants, maybe a dust mask when you're trying to work gently around that stuff, not stir it up, but don't get it on your clothes. If you do get it on your clothes, just wash everything afterwards so that you can try to reduce your exposure as much as possible. You really have to work gently around the stuff. You don't want to stir it up.
All right, Professor Mike Kleeman, important conversation for so many people right now. We appreciate your time this morning.
That was awesome. Thank you.
All right, coming up, California on the road to recovery.
Yeah, we're shining a light on the people stepping up to help those in need, including some very familiar faces. That is next.
Back Back now with a look at the road to recovery for all those people affected by the fires in Southern California.
This morning, we're shining a light on people from all walks of life who have stepped up to lend a helping hand. NBC News national correspondent Jacob Soboroff joins us from Altadena, California with more. Jacob, good morning.
Hey, you guys, good morning. Once those first responders are gone from scenes like these all over the Los Angeles area, it's people known as second responders, oftentimes day laborers and low-wage workers who are going to come in and do some of those even dangerous and potentially deadly cleanup efforts, oftentimes without people there to support them like the first responders themselves are being supported. It's something that actually actress and activist Eva Longoria is using her massive megaphone to lift up at a moment where they really do need it.
When the wildfires in California begin to subside, a second wave of crucial work begins.
We had at least 500 to 1,000 volunteers.
So we're talking about thousands over the course of last week.
Yes.
Volunteers at the Pasadena Community Job Center here around the clock.
This is where people come and pick up the tools,
cleaning up debris and donating goods.
What would you normally be doing if you weren't here right now?
Laundry.
At home?
Yeah.
Among those stepping in to help, actress and activist Eva Longoria. When she joined Jenna in Studio 1A earlier this week, her mind was also on the people here in her hometown of 25 years.
We're talking about first responders and all of these firefighters and everybody's out there, but then there's going to be second responders, people who are going to rebuild these communities.
Yeah. Those second responders are often day workers who come to the Pasadena Job Center, run by the National Day Laborers Organizing Network, and co-executive director Pablo Alvarado.
We've done it from Katrina to Sandy to Andrew. Everywhere in this country, day laborers have been always there to lend a hand.
Longoria has donated $50,000 to an effort to support them. And her foundation, with the support of the Courage and Civility Award, has pledged $1 million to support relief efforts.
I want to make sure that we have some sort of support system that is something they can fall back on. Whether you're rich, poor, documented, undocumented, Republican, Democrat, everybody is suffering. And to see so many people come together and throw that all out the window, that's what I want people to see.
We went with her as she hit the streets herself with the day laborer-led volunteer crews.
Why are you doing this?
Because it's needed. It's needed. The city doesn't have the resources to come and do the cleanup that's needed before this starts another fire. So all of these day laborers, all of these people are here donating their time and their talent to make sure that this neighborhood's safe and it doesn't get burned again.
An effort to kickstart rebuilding and to bring people together as a community picks up the pieces and begins to heal.
Once these fires are put out, this is the community that's going to rebuild Los Angeles.
This is the community that will rebuild Los Angeles. That is not an exaggeration, and it is why Eva Longoria, the National Day Laborers Organizing Network, the Pasadena Community Job Center are all trying to put a big spotlight on these workers who, as I said, some of them are undocumented, may not have protections or even relief from places like the federal government, like their neighbors would have, but they are still out here. In fact, they're leading some of these efforts. And I think that it's important that we put a spotlight as well on the folks that are so often on the margins of our society, but are going to be very, very critical to the cleanup and recovery process here in Los Angeles, you guys.
Jacob, incredible work. Thank you so much for bringing us that story and for the work you've been doing for the last week. Let's get to some money news this morning. And if you're in the market for a Cybertruck, now is apparently the time to shell out the cash.
Okay, CNBC's Savannah now has that and some other financial news. Savannah, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. Yeah, if you've got that extra cash, just laying around, Tesla has started offering discounts on new Cybertruck vehicles this week. That's according to listings on its website. The discounts are as high as $1,600 depending on model and up to about $2,600. That's for the demo versions of the Cybertruck. Production of the electric pickups has reportedly slowed in recent weeks at Tesla's factory in Austin, Texas. Spirit Airlines says it's on track to emerge from Chapter 11 bankruptcy sometime in the first quarter of this year. The discount airline is also cutting 200 more jobs as it slashes costs and tries to match its smaller flying footprint. Now, Spirit had already furloughed pilots and offered flight attendants more voluntary time off. And guess what? Duolingo may be the big winner in the U.S. TikTok ban. The language app has seen an increase of more than 200% in people seeking to learn Mandarin as more than 700,000 users are flocking to Chinese social media app Rednote. That app does not have an English version and doesn't offer translation. Duolingo joking in a post on X, "Oh, so now you're learning Mandarin." There you go.
That's how we get people to learn new languages. We threaten to take away their TikTok.
Exactly, yeah. Some of the comments online on this or something.
Savannah, thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. Coming up, get ready for game day with Super Bowl 59 just a few weeks away. Big brands are teasing their plans for those iconic ads. We're going to show you a preview.
Also ahead, we're going to head to my home state where a world record was just broken, a very important one. You're going to have to see it to believe it. That is after the break.
We're back, and women's basketball has hit another milestone after years of growth and surging popularity. This year, women's teams will finally get paid for playing March Madness games just like the men. Under the new system approved by NCAA membership, a team that reaches the Final Four in the tournament could earn around $1.25 million over the next 3 years in financial performance rewards. South Carolina Gamecocks coach Don Staley told the AP, "This continues our fight to lift women's basketball to historic levels."
She would have made millions of dollars for her university over the last few years.
It's about time. That's awesome. All right, well, let's stay on sports. Excitement is building for next month's Super Bowl. And as well as the football and the halftime show, there's something else that we're looking forward to seeing. The ads, of course.
Yeah, NBC News correspondent Kaylee Hartung is here with a preview because it's never too early now to see the Super Bowl ads or to talk about them.
Why do they show us them early?
Because more bang for your buck. If you're going to pay $7 million for 30 seconds, you might as well get as much out of it as you can. And hey, we say it every year, it seems, but this Super Bowl could be the most watched game ever. And yes, of course, some viewers will just be tuning in for the commercials. So brands are teasing ahead. They say to expect major star power, tons of laughs, and some big surprises.
Every Super Bowl comes with supersized ads. And this year, some major players are going all in, hoping to score big with viewers. Doritos, bringing back its famous Crash the Super Bowl contest, crowdsourcing ideas from the public.
What do we think about the commercials?
Personally, I like the one with the chip.
Insightful.
I think they all had chips. Got it.
With one of these three finalists now set to receive $1 million payout for the winning ad. Companies like FanDuel also teasing ahead to the big game with some trusted fan favorites, setting the stage for Manning versus Manning.
The FanDuel Kick of Destiny 3 is my destiny, Peyton. You and I both know this.
Not if I make it first.
While others, like Pringles and GoDaddy, are keeping fans guessing.
So many of these commercials, they're treated like movies. We get the trailer and then we get the actual commercial.
Why are these spots so coveted year after year?
The NFL is just so popular. They have cast such a wide net. Yes, Taylor certainly has helped with that, no question. It's rare that we have an event like this where pretty much everybody is watching.
The demand for airtime during this year's game, unprecedented. Fox reportedly selling out all ad slots for Super Bowl 59 in November. A 30-second spot going for a whopping $7 million.
That's just the cover price. The budgets end up being really similar to like a small movie.
But for so many companies, the steep price is well worth the investment. Anheuser-Busch, known for its quintessential beer commercials, says it's returning to the Super Bowl this year with 5 different ads, running a total of 3 minutes. Also hoping to see green, newcomers like Ritz and Duracell, both entering the stadium for the first time with highly anticipated ads. Though most commercials still remain tightly under wraps, experts say to expect major star power and ensemble casts. A winning formula behind some of last year's most popular ads, like Uber Eats.
Remember when you used to be a pepper lady? Wasn't it the Cinnamon Sisters? Basil Babes?
And helmets.
You lasted longer than most.
Returning brands like Reese's, already giving fans a glimpse of their Super Bowl spot, promising to deliver another unforgettable comedic experience that'll have people buzzing on the big day.
There's been such high demand for these commercial slots that Fox reportedly has a wait list about a dozen brands long in case plans change or someone drops out before the big game. And Ralphie from USA Today says another component of a winning formula when it comes to these commercials, Guys, an ad that really pulls at your heartstrings. It can be harder to do, but do you remember that Farmer's Dog commercial a few years ago with the girl growing up with her dog and the bond? And I mean, the tears were in my eyes watching that.
I know. I always feel kind of ridiculous, and I'm like, I'm crying on a Super Bowl ad, but it works.
Bring it on. In this moment in time, I think we all need to feel some warmth
Exactly.
and love.
I want to watch the commercials and cry and laugh and all the feels.
All of it.
Kaylee, we know you've got a lot of football news to be bringing us over the next couple of weeks. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Let's end the hour in my home state of Minnesota, where we just broke a record for, get this, the world's largest standing maze made entirely out of ice, because that's what we do when it's below zero. Reporter Jessica Hart from our NBC News affiliate KARE 11 in the Twin Cities gives us a look.
The previous record was set in 2010 in Buffalo, New York. That ice maze was nearly 13,000 square feet. The one at TCO Stadium is over 18,000 square feet. A maze so large, even the sun can't melt it. CEO of Minnesota Ice and the Minnesota Ice Festival, Robert Harrell, says on average it takes people between 20 and 30 minutes to get through the maze. To keep you extra busy, there's even a scavenger hunt along the way. Harrell says they started making ice in September and spent over a month piecing it together.
We're such an outdoor group, and we embrace the winter and we enjoy it, and so it was really cool to bring this record to Minnesota, and hopefully we'll break it again.
And there's so much more here than just the ice maze. They have an ice bar, they have food trucks, they have cool ice sculptures throughout the whole place. And of course, they have a warming house so you can get warmed up in between different activities. You can get your tickets online to come visit the ice maze through February 16th.
So when it's 15 below, just grab your Blizzard from Dairy Queen and walk the ice maze. That's what Minnesotans do.
What is with the doubling down on the cold and ice?
I like it. All right, thanks to Jessica Hart from KARE 11 for bringing us that story. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.